Hello and welcome to the All Round Coaching podcast, episode number 40. I have got Mel back with me, my little co-host. She did disappear for a little bit, so I've just been chatting to myself.
I know, it's felt like ages since we've sat down and done a podcast. I think the last one that we properly sat down with was well before Christmas. We'd banked a few, and then I think just checked down on Spotify. The last one we did together was in the car on the way down to Birmingham, which feels like forever and a day ago now.
Yeah, we only did that because it was to pass the time as well, and we were actually having discussions, and that's when, I don't know, sometimes the best thoughts come to my head.
Yeah, I think the phrase...
We'll do this now and forget everything we want to say.
The phrase forever etched in our minds is, this will be a good podcast episode, just because we naturally just talk, not just about, obviously, coaching and obviously health and fitness, but we just talk about quite a lot of stuff that then just somehow manages to tie itself back to a podcast episode, doesn't it?
It's just life and what relates. Obviously, everybody's a fucking human. We're not athletes, so I feel like what we do discuss is relatable and people can resonate with it. I'm not one that will come on a podcast and just tell people what they want to hear or follow what the trends are. Especially like what a Diary of a CEO is, where it's just spouting off misinformation, and I will drop that in there.
Yeah, that's quite a hot topic at the moment, isn't it? You came back from the hairdressers today, didn't you? Saying that obviously there's a bit of an uproar around all of that kind of stuff, and I'm 99% convinced that Stephen Bartlett isn't tuning into the All Round Coaching podcast. So I think we're safe. But I guess there's a lot of contradictions with a lot of the experts that go on there. And I'm fairly certain they are experts in their own field, but when you've got you've got a podcast outlet that isn't preaching the same thing. If that makes sense.
They'll pick in tiny bits of information that's right, and then they'll throw loads of big words in for people to then believe it. And it's not. I'm not going to go into it because obviously I'm just promoting someone else's podcast, but nothing that they say is right, and I just feel like it's what is it, like a Jerry Springer chat show now where he gets celebrities on and it's just like a little bit of controversy, and every guest that he's had on is either contradicted or it's been hugely inaccurate.
But you know how they market that? Like, they'll send out 50 different clips and test it and test it and test it.
It's clickbait. I think it was what one got me?
The Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, I thought I'd listen to that. I thght it'd be good, this, and it was boring.
Yeah,
I'm not saying we're the fucking highlights of everyone's week, but.
Yeah, it is very contradictory. I was aptly against that kind of stuff, and then I picked it up for a little bit. And there are some episodes, granted, where they are quite useful, and
I loved the old Diary of a CEO back in the day, and I've unsubscribed, I've unfollowed, I don't listen, and I won't listen anymore. But his older stuff that you could actually, I like things that I can resonate with and use, and like tools to take away, and I don't think you get that anymore. I think I just leave more frustrated than anything. Yeah,
and I think especially when he's advocating for like health and fitness topics, and then he's promoting Huel, which
it's just Huel and Zoe. Zoe more so at the minute, and that's massively inaccurate. Unless obviously it's for people that are diabetic, and I think the audience that they're aiming at aren't. It is a way to make money, because I'm sure someone. No, I'm not going into this, actually.
What is the Zoe
I've fallen down the rabbit hole. It's to do with the
briefly.
glucose levels. I don't look into stuff like that because I won't fall down that rabbit hole because I'll never get back out. I did this with the one-to-one where I got into it and I get passionately annoyed about it.
Yeah,
so I end up going down my own little rabbit holes. But it's to do with glucose, and obviously it would be relevant for people if they were diabetic to manage that. But they're aiming it at Gen Pop, and obviously if they're selling something, they're going to push it and try and say it's backed by science. But it isn't for everyone. Like, everyone is individual, so do your research before you spend hundreds of what it probably is. But obviously he's got a big following, so I guess there'll be a few million that do buy it anyway.
Yeah, I first heard of that brand just because of the brand and the agency that had created the brand, so I knew it was always front of my mind anyway. So they've clearly got a good investment of money especially to pump themselves onto Diary of a CEO, but we are probably digressing quite a bit now.
Yeah, and if I do sneeze or sniff, it's not that I'm having a good time, it's just that I've been quite ill. So
she's not having a good time. I think I looked at you this morning and I was like, what's wrong with your eye? Have you been crying?
That leaky, swollen, puffy,
You
cold
look like
eye.
you've been punched. It was not a look.
Yeah, I'm not looking great, I don't sound great, but I do, once I commit to something, this is a testament to my commitment to make sure that I do get weekly podcasts out, and for them 2 listeners.
And again, I suppose like a nice little segue into the actual topic of the podcast. Like sometimes we've struggled with time, yet you've still managed to every single week consistently post out a podcast episode. We're on 40 weeks running now, almost 12 episodes away from a full year.
That's
mad. Crazy.
But yes, and time, like obviously I'm going to call us entrepreneurs, that's what we are now.
Okay.
No, we are busy, like we're self-employed and we are quite busy anyway, and I'm not just saying that to, I don't know, blow my own trumpet. You're
either a business owner or an entrepreneur, whichever way you kind of see yourself, really. So
yeah, but my topic of this one, to actually get into it, that's over 5 minutes in now, when people say they don't have time to exercise, I'd like to say on the first part of that exercise isn't just a fat loss tool, and I think that's people's misconception. Going in just to lose body fat or lose the weight as quick as possible, avoid that. But it's when people say they don't have time to exercise, whether it is for fat loss, health, fitness, muscle gain, whichever. Like in my eyes, everybody's got time, and it's not necessarily down to that.
So what are, like, obviously you've coached quite a number of people over the years and probably had a lot of consultations with a good number of them as well, where I guess a lot of people at the beginning of that stage, when they're speaking to you, they're going, I'm struggling for time, I just can't find the time to go to the gym. Like, what's the common reason that you get from people?
People's work hours, child care, like don't have kids. I would say they were the top 2. So it's if people are working, which everybody does. Obviously, when you've got kids, granted, I haven't got any, but it shouldn't, like for me, you should be setting that environment and setting an example that exercise is a part of your life, not something that you should do and it's on the list with everything else. Because I'm not saying don't sit down and relax, but people find 4 to 6 hours to binge an episode of Netflix, but they can't find 15-20 minutes to exercise.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, it's just prioritization of time, isn't it? I mean, I don't feel like I'm apt enough to kind of talk about like the people with kids, but I do know people that do find the time to get out and go and have a run or get out and move their bodies. And I think a lot of parents that I know utilise that time with the children, especially when they're young, to go and exercise with them, like the swim classes and all of that kind of stuff. It's, if you want to make it work, I mean, anybody can use an excuse for anything, can't they? And then put that blockade up and not go and do it. I certainly was one of those people where I never felt like I had the time to exercise. I always felt extremely busy, but I think it was more of a mindset shift once I obviously started with you, where it was actually I need to make that time for myself rather than feeling, because for me I was a 9 to 5 workaholic. I felt like I was chained to my desk all the time, felt like I had to, if the work wasn't done, it was never going to be done if I didn't stay there until 9-10 o'clock at night working on it.
Yeah, but like, I mean, a big thing here is not seeing it as something you should do, and then it becomes an absolute drain on you, because you think, right, that's another thing I've got to do out of the massive list that's in front of me on my desk. So I'm going to sit on my desk and sit there all day and think, right, I'll get this finished, and then it comes, 9-10 p.m? And then, half your day's gone then. And are you going to go outside and exercise or go to the gym? You're probably not come that time.
No, you bollocks. Like, who's exercising at 10 o'clock at night? Like,
I mean, to be fair, I have done it. I wouldn't do it now. It's not my time. But I don't like saying it's people's priorities, because I do appreciate everybody's is different, but setting time aside, and it's that old myth that you have to be in a gym for an hour. And it has to be a gym. Like, one, it doesn't have to be a gym. Yes, it is beneficial in other ways, depending on your goal. But it does not have to be an hour session. 10-15 minutes of exercise is better than absolutely nothing. So if you did that each day over nothing, it's going to add up. Obviously, kids are going to see you do it. They'll probably join in. You're going to feel better for it. You can be more focused, more productive, as opposed to sitting in front of your laptop for 8 to 10 hours. And then going to bed and being completely sedentary, because you do feel shit for it, and I'm not as productive when I've sat there for 4 hours.
No, I mean, before I started coaching with you, I was always in a bad habit of sitting at my desk, banging my head against the table, really just trying to get not feeling productive, but then feeling like it's I don't know if anybody else is listening that has ever felt this way, but you feel like if I leave my desk now and go for a walk, or leave my desk now and go and make a brew, that I'm not being productive. Like, you feel like you have to physically be at your desk to be doing the work, but the amount of times where I'm just stuck in the mud and not getting anywhere because I'm not moving, like I'm just at a point and hitting a brick wall. Like, I think that was the big thing for me when I moved from employment to self-employment, is actually giving myself that hour and that time. Now, I know not everybody's got that luxury, but if you go, right, this is my dedicated hour, or not even an hour sometimes, like half an hour, 20 minutes, that's
I think it's harder when you're self-employed, because it's easy for us to sit and think, right, I'll work straight through and I'll get as much as I can done. One, the list never fucking ends anyway, but two, we have to set that hour, otherwise we won't do it.
Yeah.
So we have to break our day up ourselves, whereas like if you are in work, generally people either get 30 minutes or an hour. Now, you can go for a walk, some people do actually go to the gym on the break, utilise that time, spend 20-30 minutes exercising out of that break that you have been given with work. Mm-hmm. But if you're self-employed, I do think it is harder to actually set that time, because I did it where I'd put that many people back to back, I wouldn't schedule a break in, and then I'd come in, I was on my laptop, I wouldn't be as productive, and things, I'd say the quality of my work probably slipped more when I wasn't setting time aside to either go for a walk or exercise.
Well, it actually referencing Stephen Bartlett again, but I've read it, I've listened to his book, but it's about like not pouring from an empty cup, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually
that's
giving yourself
a therapist.
that
we're not going to use Stephen Bartlett anymore, but therapists say that. No, disregard Stephen Bartlett quotes going forward. But like, even my therapist would say, like, you can't pour into everyone else's cup and have nothing left for yourself. That's why I'm so big on my boundaries, making sure I show up, look after my health. Granted, obviously I have been ill and run myself into the ground, but if I don't look after me, I can't look after my clients, and I can't maintain my service quality. And it'll be the same for people that are working or that have got kids. You can't show up better if you're not looking after yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, in a sense, the right dose of exercise actually gives you time. Obviously, short term, you're going to be more productive and you're going to focus. Long term, you're literally adding years to your life. So, if you look after your health, then you are going to live longer, if that's obviously a choice that you want.
Yeah, if that's what you want. You know, some people want that, some people don't.
But if you have got kids, then it is nice to be around longer for your kids. I mean, I'm not going to pull on the heartstrings, but obviously I lost my dad at, how old was I in 2012? 22?
Yeah.
And it's a young age. Obviously people have lost them younger than me, but he didn't look after his health, so I think I see it from the other side. Like, I see what happens when people neglect their health, they don't exercise, they don't take care of the nutrition. So that's why I think I'm a little bit more passionate when people say they haven't got time. Like, disassociate that time having to be an hour and having to be in the gym.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask you, like, obviously we've talked about, like, the common excuses and the common feelings that we all get. But what about actually people that want to make a difference? Like, what are the tips that you get or that you would give people?
Sorry, if anyone's heard anything, Mel's getting notifications through. Right, just leave it. So yeah, she won't be on the next episode.
We're recording this, so just as a tidbit, I'm fairly certain that your phone's water damaged from when we went into Cape Verde and we were trying to film and photograph. So there's been so many times recently where Claire's gone to send a voice note or a number of voice notes and it's just been nothing.
Well, we did an entire podcast and it didn't record, and this is my fear now, so we're doing it on 2 phones.
Yeah.
But sorry, ask that question again.
You can tell that we've not done this for ages.
I know. Apologies, guys. This is episode number 2 all over again.
No, I was genuinely asking about, obviously we talked about the reasons why people might not feel like they've got time, like, but obviously what are the solutions, or not quick fixes but little tips that you would kind of get people to think about actually reframing that in their minds of it's going from I've not got time to that's my time.
Yeah, and I think, do you know what? One of my clients, Janine, she actually sets time aside to exercise, and her specific word is, that's my time. So there are people that do that. So I think when people think that I don't understand the situation, like, I've got clients from literally all backgrounds. I've got mums, entrepreneurs, people that work fucking mad hours, and they all make that time because, 1, it's important to them, and 2, they want to look after their health. And I think Janine pointed out that she wants to show her kids that. So a fix for me, so say an example, someone's a busy mum, they're working a 9 to 5, they go home to the kids. I'd say, well, what time do you get up? Can you get up 15, 20 minutes earlier? Set a time to exercise, get out for a 10-minute walk and do a 10-minute little circuit with yourself. Not with yourself in a dirty way, but like a body weight movements, get a couple of dumbbells if you can't leave the house. Or like make use of your time, have a little jog to the gym, 15, 20-minute workout and run back home. And you're killing two birds with one stone. So it is finding a way around it. Rather than saying you've got a problem, look for a solution and how to solve it. And that's what I want to do for clients. So it does kill me when they say they haven't got time and then they don't allow me to help them, because I can break it down, I can structure, I can help with routine.
Have you not got one of your clients, Chris, for example, where he's actually now started going out for runs with one of his daughters?
Yeah, and you know what? Like, that's a good example of he's showing that environment, and like they're learning about nutrition, protein, the effects of exercise, and they're actually excited for the day that they can go to the gym. Obviously, they aren't old enough at the minute, but they're excited for that. Yeah, and it's nice that he involves them in it, so it's setting them up for life then, of exercise isn't a chore, it isn't something we have to do, but it's something we can do.
Even with like hikes as well though, like I always admire the families that manage to get themselves out for big long Sunday walks.
Yeah, like a hike's massive. I think it was Barry and Lucy that went on a big hike the other week on a Sunday. I let them miss the class because obviously apparently my class is a cardio in disguise, but they went on a big hike to, like, it was the three peaks in the Yorkshire Dales bit, and it's fucking hard to do that, so I respect anyone that does that, so well done Barry and Lucy.
Yeah, and going back to like prioritising that me time, like framing that, I think it was funny because I felt in a bit of a funk recently with my like training, really, more so than anything, and I think you'd help me sit down and say, right, okay, well, every single morning, not every single morning, but every morning I saw, these are the days that you're going to train, four days out of the 7, 8 a.m. every single day, and that cuts out a lot of the, okay, well, on Tuesday I'm going to be training at 2:30, and then Wednesday I'm going to be training at 6, and having that, not that inconsistency, but obviously when my brain's already busy, like adding another layer of complexity where, right, I'm going to be here, that's where my diary is. Like, granted, you need that flexibility, but I've found that I've actually enjoyed training more this week because I've gone, that's my dedicated time, that hour between 8 and 9, before I technically start work, which I don't have to start at 9, but I do. That's my time before work, and I'm set up for the day then.
Yeah, do you know what? I think people don't schedule, they don't plan. Everybody keeps everything in the head, and I think that was the game changer for me when I started writing stuff down, scheduling stuff. I had time blocks of when I was going to do something, and I don't think many people utilise this. They say, I'm too busy, I haven't got time. Everything's in the head. They haven't put anything out. They haven't blocked time, like that time. They don't know any time scales because everything's just stuck in the head. And they feel like everything has to be done at once. Like, some things can wait. So it is like sitting... I mean, we restructured what you were doing anyway because you checked in, and it was when you actually check in, I can help a little bit more. So that's a big thing for clients, to actually check in with your coach, and they can help you. If you don't fucking check in, you don't communicate with them, then it's going to be even more difficult for your coach to actually help you.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yes, the people that check in win.
They do. But yeah, the diary aspect, I think, I don't know how I'd managed to do 31 years of life without actually really utilising a calendar of any form, but I think that's one of the things that you got me to do, and I resisted quite a lot at the beginning.
Yeah, she resisted everything, to be fair. Even becoming a lesbian.
I'm just stubborn. No, but I think just actually seeing that block book, okay, that's the window for me, or that's my day today, so maybe I don't need train on that day because I'll feel overwhelmed. I'll train on a day where I've got less stressful kind of things, and it's just having a better oversight. Or it might be that actually I've got a lot on that day, I do actually need that 20 minutes or 40 minutes for me then.
Yeah, it's backing up the intent with an action though. If you've blocked that time, you know you're going to do it, and it's there in front of you. I used to do it if I was having like really busy days in the gym. I'd just train as and when. I'd never really set days or times, but I always make, obviously granted I've been ill this week, I can't fucking train, but I'd always set that time aside to actually train. Now I know when I'm training, I know what time I've got people in, I know when I've got a break, I know when I'm scheduling my content, and obviously we know when I'm doing a podcast, like we do. I'm not saying we live to every hour, but things are scheduled and planned, and we know when we can have a little bit of downtime and relax because we know what's going to get done.
Yeah, I think, again, coming back to that work element of feeling like you need to achieve so much in a day, like I've witnessed with you where you've physically sat down every Sunday and wrote your week out, because you were coming to me and going, what am I going to do content wise, or what am I going to post out here? But then now you've actually got that structure and you're not over bloating your day. You're not over adding your days to the point where you feel like you need to be sat at your laptop every minute.
No, I mean, it's just having a plan of action and fucking executing it, isn't it?
I think it's also having realistic goals and what you can realistically achieve within a day. Like, we both know people that, you know, have worked, like, Christ knows, 12, 15, 16-hour days. Like, it's not reality, is it? Like, that's not a way of living. Like,
no, I've got Nate, like I said this before, I've got Nathan, he's, I'll call him an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah, well, he is.
He's self-employed, obviously, he works for himself, but he did a 15-hour shift for work the other day, and then he's straight on his laptop and his phone. But do you know what? He still came to the gym, he still did his session, and he still goes to the gym and puts time aside for them sessions.
Yeah, probably because he'll fucking combust otherwise.
Yeah, like, it makes him feel better mental health-wise. It's made him feel more confident. He's obviously been more productive from it, but he's looking after himself rather than pouring into everyone else's cup. So I think that's been a big step for him. So it isn't me just saying, this is what I do. It's obviously what clients practice and what they've gained from it, and everybody has been more successful. Like, people have changed their jobs, their careers, been more confident from exercising. So it does add to your life, and it's not me being like over dramatic. It changed my life. It changed yours.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously we've briefly touched on it before. When you're feeling better, like, you move better, you act better, you perform at a higher level. You've got more energy to, like, you know, utilize the things in life that you want to utilize. Like, I don't know, it's just an element of clarity. But obviously we are preaching, we are the converted, aren't we? So, yeah, but I don't know. It's a funny one, really, just because when it comes to I used to always find the hardest bit about getting to the gym was actually putting my gym clothes on and getting in the car. Like, once you're physically in that space,
it's finding a sweet spot of what your time is. Like, I know my time wouldn't be 6, 7, or even 8 a.m, 9 a.m at a push. That isn't my sweet spot. Like, I am a 10 or 11 a.m kind of person. I know that's my sweet spot. So finding a time that works for you in your schedule, and B, one that's not gonna fucking take away from you in your day. So some people prefer to train after work. If you feel absolutely fucked, you go home and you sit down and it doesn't happen, then that isn't a time for you.
Also, don't sit down, because that's a big
that's the biggest mistake. But if you get up early and you feel better in the morning, then maybe a morning's better for you. Or going on your break if you're working from home or you're near a gym in your office. Like, find a time that works for you. And then it does become a little bit easier when you found that sweet spot. And that's what I found. Like, if someone said to me, I mean, clients do ask if I'll do a 6, 7 a.m. slot, and it's an absolute no, because one, I'm not at my best, and two, it just isn't my time.
Yeah.
If I'm sometimes working till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, I'm then chilling out till 9, 10, and probably in bed for 11 to half 11. It doesn't make sense for me to then get up at fucking 5 a.m. to try and go again with it. I'd be fucked.
Yeah, I've done that. I've tried to find that sweet spot. I used to find that I trained better when I was in a 9 to 5 at night. Just because I wasn't stressed about. I'm absolutely awful about getting out of bed, to be honest.
I'm not great. I mean, you have witnessed. I'm good in summer because there's actual daylight to get me up and my brain's happier.
Yeah.
But in winter, I do go into hibernation, so you're not seeing me until after 8 a.m.
No, absolutely not.
And it's cosy because we've got really soft bedding.
Yeah, it's hard to get out of that bed, to be fair. But I've tried to get out in the mornings and try to be that early
You've done
riser.
well. Like, you actually do get up. Like, I mean, because
struggle.
I've not been well, so I have tried to sleep a little bit more. But yeah, we're going off topic now.
No, but it's a struggle. It's just I think where I'm trying to get to is sometimes you've got to try and find those windows and those times where it still feels enjoyable and still feels like something that you want to go and do rather than a chore. Like, when you suddenly see it as a chore, then
yeah, don't see it as something you have to do. See it as something that you can do and you're able to do, because. Yeah. I bet, I mean, not to fucking put a damper on anything, but I bet if you lost all your limbs and you couldn't move tomorrow, you'd be gutted, you could never move again.
Yeah.
So utilise what you've got and be thankful for it, yeah. Just get out moving. But one thing I've always said, like, it doesn't need to be a long session to be effective. And I think that's where a lot of people are going wrong. They think it has to be an hour. I mean, some people train for 2 hours. Like, in my eyes, you've either got intensity or you've got duration, you can't do both. So if you're training for ages, then there's something amiss there. It does not have to be long. 15-20 minutes is better than nothing. And it overall, obviously, it's going to improve your life. You're going to have more energy for it, and things are a little bit easier when you're happier, healthier and fitter. So I will leave that there with a nice little quote to finish on.
Yeah, I think we did set out to be a bite-sized on this one.
Sorry.
we just have a habit of probably talking, and we're quite passionate. Obviously, this is your field, isn't it? So you are more passionate than I am, but
yeah, Mel likes to chat. If you've ever met Mel, she will chat. What did Laura say? You'll chat the legs off a donkey.
Yeah. But no, it makes sense. I mean, when we try and do these things, I always try and come at it from the other side. Like, obviously, you've been in this industry for a good few years now, haven't you? So you see it from the coach's perspective, but hopefully I can give...
I do see it from a person as well, because I've lived through every mistake that everyone's done, every fad, every quick fix. I've been the person that trains for hours, 7 days and 6 days, smash cardio, and just associating it with fat loss. So I have been on the other side, but obviously I think I started coaching because I wanted to help people like myself. I thought, fuck this, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
No bullshit.
Good.
So, yeah.
I'll let Claire try and wrap this up because this is not my forte, so I'm going to go now.
Yeah, so we will wrap it up. We will be back next week, but obviously if there is anything on this podcast that you think, do you know what, I need help with that, I do offer more than one service, not because I think I can make as much money as I can, but it is actually to help people get healthier. I appreciate not everybody can afford full coaching. Knowledge and education does come at a price because obviously it's cost me a few grand to get to where I am. Yeah. So not everyone can afford that, and that's why I created 42 Elite and 2 lots of app access. So it doesn't have to come at a cost, but I can help you in some way. And it's nice to actually be able to help people and get them healthier.
Yeah, there's definitely options if you think that you might not be able to go for the full hybrid option. There are certain levels of coaching that you offer, isn't it?
Yeah, plus you'll get the group support, and now and again I do a free class as well to get everyone together, so I do give back. I don't just take. I'm a giver.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Right. I will see you... No, I won't see you. Hopefully everyone's listening actually, but we will be back next week with another podcast, and we will brush up on our podcast skills because obviously we're out of practice now.
Yeah, clearly a little rusty, so
yeah.
Goodbye.
Enjoy your Monday.